So, I'm recording this now, and got up this morning, was doing a few stuff, clean, whatnot, and then I suddenly realized something. Games, certain franchises should end, and some go on longer than they have any right to. Whereas, it's kind of hard to put into words, but according to a video I watched by a YouTuber ironically named the real life fake wizard, and that's a really funny name. Kingdom Hearts 3, as an example, that's what he used. Well, he thinks it should end. By now, the franchise should have concluded and finished, particularly Sora, Riku, and Kairi's story. If they wanted to continue with something else, probably switch to a different game, like switch characters and such, I can understand that. But at this point, it's so convoluted with so many different additions. It's kind of ridiculous. You can't really. New players are gonna have it hard, and old players are gonna have it really hard to make sense of the story and keep up with what's going on. It's kind of ridiculous in a sense. So then I'm doing this and I'm thinking to myself, I've always agreed with the sentiment. Because sometimes a story, a series, it's about time it can end. It doesn't need to go on for any longer than it has to, and stretching it out rather dilutes the quality of everything that it is and it is loved for into something that it's not or should never have been. And I think many stories don't, or many series don't get this. They have a game, movie, or franchise that is doing well, and they intend to milk it to the point of death. If you're a fan of it, right, shouldn't you want it to conclude somewhere that you're comfortable with, so that it doesn't become a shadow of its former glory? Like the titular Dark Souls series, Miyazaki ended with Dark Souls 3. Dark Souls 1, you were introduced to the world. Dark Souls 2, you saw the futility of it. It felt more personal, Dark Souls 2. And yes, I count Dark Souls 2 as canon. Bite me. Dark Souls 3, perfect conclusion at the end of the DLC. Two nobodies fighting over nothing at World's End. And that's pretty much all it needed, and that was done for, that was a wrap. They used the same formula, but they came up with something new, which is Elden Ring. And Elden Ring ends now with just one installment and its DLC. Pretty much signifying they don't need any more. And I think they could do that with Kingdom Hearts and a few other series. Instead of one overarching long story that's going so far in the back, so far in the past, they're not even necessarily updating what's happening in modern day, just telling the stories from the past, further back, with Assassin's Creed. Instead of a yearly release, one every 2 to 3, 4 years. Completely new story, different ideas of where the assassins came from, but fresh. They can do Kingdom Hearts, but yeah, it could be a whole new story, whole new characters. Think of it like Bloodborne. Personally, would I want a Bloodborne 2? Yes. Would I want a Sekiro 2? Would I play it? Yes. But I don't go asking from software to drop one for me. Because to me, the games that they are, what they offered, what they did, are satisfactory. To me, they did exactly what they were intended to do. I got, by the end of Sekiro, I usually go for the purification and I'm satisfied. I beat all the bosses, I even went on to perfect them, which they are on my channel. Bloodborne, I got all the endings, got all weapons. I have, well, not on the current account I'm using, but I have Platinum Bloodborne. And I am very much satisfied with that. The DLC was excellent. The campaign, well, what you can't understand of it, since From Software mainly has cryptic storytelling, I was satisfied. You either wake up from the dream and everything else is left to them, nothing to do with you anymore. You either replace Gurman, set him free, but you become him, which is quite sad. Or a cryptic ending where you become a baby Great One, and presumably invoke some evolution in mankind later on. Personally, I feel like it's okay for something good and magnificent to know when to stop. At least, like Ubisoft's Assassin's Creed or Activision's Call of Duty, they get shit every year. I don't see them going for Game of the Year anytime soon. Because they become so diluted and generic that the quality of the content has definitely dropped. That is not up for debate. So when does this series, let me know what you think. When does this series, movie, franchise, games, know when enough is enough? When it's time to take a back seat and hop on something else? Or do you think, are you one of those people where just keep pumping out to me until I get fed up of it and it's no longer good as it was? Because times have changed. Games are now a money-making machine, and there is no need to stop and build pure quality as though it was your habit. Give me a moment. God damn, this stupid dragon just won't land down. My goodness. Stop flying. Like with the Elder Scrolls, some games can get away with this, such as the Final Fantasy series. Why? Because each Final Fantasy is different. Each Final Fantasy is different and offers something, a unique story, a unique take. And because of that now, they can keep pumping out different ones, even though they've sort of fallen off from where they are now. With Final Fantasy 16 and the Final Fantasy 7 Remake not selling as much as they should, honestly. But that's a whole different topic for another time that I'm not going to get into this video. But I think stories need to learn, games need to learn, movies, etc. You get the idea. They need to learn when enough is enough and let something rest. They ended Dark Souls. They ended at From Software ended at Demon Souls. They never went back to it. They left it unique and up in the air. Maybe, hopefully, they might use some of the systems again. That would be nice. Like the world tendency seems very interesting. Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3 are very unique from each other with their own unique mechanics that some simply do not carry over. Then they created Bloodborne, one of a kind. Sekiro, one of a kind. Armored Core maybe getting a continuation, but each Armored Core is pretty much different. It's sort of set in its own world as far as I've understood. I've never actually played the games before. Then you have Elden Ring, which is a one and done. They made it, they collaborated with George R. R. Martin, and that is pretty much concluded. And they figured they don't need more. They wanted to jump to a new project. And to me, that's something companies don't do. They want to continue the exact same thing, the exact same way, a la how every Far Cry I've played feels like I'm playing an extension of, or an extra version, or upgraded version of Far Cry 3. Ever since, Far Cry 1 and 2 are very different from each other. Completely different, in a way. And you just don't get series like that anymore. Granted, I naturally gravitate towards Souls games, so even though Elden Ring is pretty much a different version of the other previous games, I can work with that. So maybe I shouldn't be using that one Far Cry as a example. I'm not much of an FPS player. But the point I'm making is things have to take a rest. Kingdom Hearts 3 could have ended just how it was. Sora was warned not to do certain something. He did certain something to the point where he saved everybody that needed to be saved and who did never ever needed to be saved, but at the cost of something precious there. And then it still wants to continue post credits hinting at Kingdom Hearts 4. Keep in mind, it took 14 years for Kingdom Hearts 3 to come out. So my goodness, when is Kingdom Hearts 4 gonna come out? And how many more re-releases for PS5 are they gonna do of all the other side games that they've made over the years? And how much longer till other games start picking up the trend and doing the exact same thing? Anyway, that's just been my thoughts. Have a good day and take care.
Have you tried to shout?